These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment, knowledge replaces isolation. Let's talk about hyperhidrosis, the quiet truth of sweat, on the way it moves through a person's day. Individuals with this condition may face a life shaped by moisture, not shame, but misunderstanding. They may face excessive sweating, hyperhidrosis, a disorder of the sweat glands, constant, unpredictable, unrelated to heat or exertion. They may face real daily adjustments, building their routines around managing moisture because society misreads what the body is doing. They may face clothing choices, dark colors, loose fabrics, moisture-wicking shirts, avoiding light gray, silk, tight synthetics that reveal sweat instantly. They may face layering strategies, an undershirt catching the moisture before it reaches the outer world. They may face hand and foot adjustments, carrying towels, wipes, extra socks because palms and soles can turn slippery without warning. They may face workplace adaptations, avoiding handshakes, avoiding paper, avoiding touchscreens that slip under damp fingertips. They may face social navigation, choosing the seat near the fan, the window, the air vent, choosing distance instead of a hug to protect themselves from misunderstanding. They may face daily planning, mapping the day around temperature, humidity, stress, packing extra shirts, deodorant, absorbent pads like tools for survival. And individuals with this condition may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings. They may face misinterpretation, others assuming nervousness, uncleanliness, anxiety, or lack of preparation. They may face social discomfort, sweat patches drawing eyes, wet palms complicating handshakes, damp clothing becoming a target for teasing. They may face professional challenges, paper turning soggy, keyboards becoming slippery, uniforms stained by something they cannot control. They may face emotional exhaustion, the constant checking, wiping, avoiding, the vigilance that drains the spirit. They may face isolation, skipping social events, skipping dating, skipping group activities because judgment feels heavier than moisture. Hyperhidrosis affects everyday life not because the condition is dangerous, but because the stigma is. Individuals with this condition may face a world that misreads sweat as a sign of nervousness, as if damp skin equals insecurity. Poor hygiene, as if sweat patches mean someone did not bathe, even though hyperhidrosis has nothing to do with cleanliness. Lack of professionalism, visible sweat during a meeting misread as incompetence or lack of preparation. Weakness or instability, a damp handshake interpreted as fear or unreliability. Social awkwardness, people pulling back from closeness, misreading sweat as avoidance. Grossness, or the ick factor, media and casual conversation treating sweat like something dirty, reinforcing shame that never belonged to the person. Examples of stigmatizing comments people hear. These are real, documented social reactions. Why are you sweating? It's not even hot. Calm down, you're drenched. Did you run here? That's a lot of sweat. You must be nervous. You need a stronger deodorant. Ew, your hands are wet. These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in cultural misunderstanding, and they cause real emotional harm. People with hyperhidrosis often adjust their lives around moisture management. Dark shirts, moisture-wicking fabrics. Avoiding light gray or silk. Carrying towels or wipes. Avoiding handshakes. Sitting near fans or vents. Bringing extra clothing. Planning days around temperature and humidity. Avoiding hugging or close contact. Managing sweat on hands, feet, face, or underarms. Hyperhidrosis is not being sweaty. It is constant, unpredictable, and unrelated to heat or exertion. Trauma-informed grounding. Your adaptations are acts of intelligence, not shame. You deserve environments where your comfort matters as much as anyone else's. Nature spoken grounding. The rainforest thrives because it is wet. The morning dew is celebrated, not hidden. Moisture is part of life's design, and your body carries that same honest truth. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment, knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt, nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now let's talk about chronic halitosis. It is the quiet truth carried in the air between two people. Chronic halitosis may stem from oral bacteria, sinus issues, or metabolic factors. And individuals with this condition may face a life shaped by managing breath odor, not out of shame, but because society misunderstands what the body is doing. They may face breath-conscious speaking, angling the face away while talking, keeping a slight distance to protect others from discomfort. They may face constant oral care, brushing multiple times a day, tongue scrapers, mouthwash, sugar-free gum acting like a buffer between themselves and the world. They may face diet adjustments, avoiding garlic, onions, dairy, acidic foods because they intensify odor even when the person is doing everything right. They may face hydration routines, drinking water constantly to fight dryness that makes the smell stronger. They may face medical navigation, dentists and specialists, gastroenterologists, searching for underlying causes that are often invisible to everyone else. They may face social planning, avoiding close talking moments, whispering, intimate conversations unless they feel prepared. Halitosis is not bad breath. It is persistent, medically rooted, and often beyond a person's control. And individuals with this condition may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings. A world that misreads breath odor as a sign of poor hygiene, as if they do not brush their teeth, even when they follow strict routines. Neglect or laziness, as if breath odor equals carelessness. Unhealthy lifestyle, as if smoking, drinking, or poor diet must be the cause even when none apply. Social incompetence, as if breath odor is a failure of etiquette instead of a medical condition. Grossness, or the ick factor, media jokes portraying halitosis as repulsive, reinforcing shame that never belonged to the person. And individuals with this condition may face the sting of stigmatizing comments, real cultural reactions like, "Whoa, someone's breath is kicking. Did you forget to brush? That's rough. Back up a little. Your breath is strong. You need a mint, badly. What did you eat? Yikes." These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. Trauma-informed grounding. You are not unclean. You are not unworthy of closeness. Your breath does not define your character, your hygiene, or your value. You deserve conversations where you are not bracing for judgment. Your efforts to manage this are acts of care, not desperation. Nature-spoken grounding. Wildflowers shift their scent with the wind, sometimes sweet, sometimes sharp, always natural. Nothing in nature is constant or shameful. Your body carries the same honest variation. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment. Knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt. Nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now let's talk about Polycystic Ovary Syndrome and endometriosis. The places where hormones shift, on the places where tissue grows outside its home, on. The quiet battles people fight while the world misunderstands the science behind their pain. Polycystic ovary syndrome alters hormone regulation, affecting cycles, skin, and fertility. Endometriosis places tissue outside the uterus, producing pain and inflammation. Neither condition reflects personal failure, both are documented gynecological disorders. Visible symptoms invite uninformed comment, yet the underlying processes are physiological. Individuals with these conditions may face a life shaped by symptoms that are unpredictable, painful, and deeply misunderstood. They may face cycle management, tracking irregular periods, carrying supplies for unexpected bleeding, planning around heavy flow days, managing pain that interrupts work or social plans. They may face pain navigation, heating pads, pain medication, rest periods, avoiding certain movements, canceling plans when flare-ups take over, navigating pain during intercourse that others misinterpret without knowing the truth. They may face skin and hair adjustments with PCOS, managing acne through dermatological routines, addressing unwanted hair growth with shaving, waxing, or laser, coping with hair thinning or scalp changes that feel louder than any comment. They may face digestive and pelvic discomfort with endometriosis, adjusting diet to reduce inflammation, avoiding foods that worsen bloating or pain, navigating pain during bowel movements or urination that no one sees but the person feels deeply. They may face energy and fatigue, scheduling rest, managing exhaustion caused by chronic inflammation, balancing work demands with symptoms that do not follow a calendar. They may face fertility navigation, medical appointments, hormonal treatments, emotional processing, and the weight of societal pressure around motherhood. Polycystic ovary syndrome and endometriosis are not bad periods. They are chronic medical conditions that shape daily life in profound ways. And individuals with these conditions may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings, a world that misreads their symptoms as overreacting to normal cramps, as if debilitating pain is just a period. Poor lifestyle choices, as if PCOS-related weight gain or acne comes from diet or hygiene. Infertility as personal failure, as if fertility challenges reflect inadequacy instead of medical reality. Moodiness or dramatics, as if hormonal symptoms equal emotional instability. Invisible illness skepticism, as if symptoms that cannot be seen must be exaggerated. Sexual avoidance misinterpreted, as if pain during intercourse means disinterest or relationship issues. And individuals with these conditions may face the sting of stigmatizing comments, real cultural reactions like, "Everyone gets cramps, you're being dramatic. You just need to lose weight. Are you sure it's not in your head? You're too young to have fertility problems. You're always tired. You're moody, must be hormones. You're making excuses." These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. Trauma-informed grounding. Your pain is real. Your symptoms are valid. Your body is not failing you, it is fighting a condition that deserves respect, not dismissal. You are not dramatic, lazy, moody, or broken. You deserve care, clarity, and compassion in every conversation about your health. Your fertility, your cycles, your skin, your energy, none of these define your worth. Nature-spoken grounding. The mountains rise from pressure beneath the earth, strength shaped by forces no one can see. The moon cycles through phases, each one necessary, each one whole. Your body carries the same ancient rhythms, the same quiet resilience, the same right to exist without apology. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment, knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt, nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now, let's talk about hearing loss. This can occur at every age and results from many causes: noise exposure, genetics, illness, or aging. The need for amplification or the request for repetition is a practical adaptation, not a sign of diminished capacity. Individuals with hearing loss may face a life shaped by clarity, safety, and the search for connection in a world that misunderstands what their body is doing. They may face communication adjustments, lip reading, watching facial cues and mouth movements, positioning themselves close to speakers, choosing quiet corners, facing people directly, asking for repetition as a normal part of communication, adjusting TV, phone, or device volume to hear comfortably. They may face environmental navigation, avoiding loud restaurants, choosing seats away from background noise, preferring well-lit spaces where visual cues are clear, using captions for videos or meetings to keep conversations accessible. They may face safety adjustments, vibration or light-based alarms, visual doorbells or phone alerts, extra awareness around traffic or environmental hazards that rely on sound. They may face technology use, hearing aids, cochlear implants, sound amplifiers, captioning apps. These tools are not signs of weakness. They are practical adaptations, just like glasses for vision. And individuals with hearing loss may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings, a world that misreads their needs as aging or decline, as if hearing loss only belongs to the elderly. Inattention, as if they are ignoring the speaker instead of missing the sound. Intellectual decline, as if hearing difficulty equals cognitive difficulty. Social disinterest, as if they do not want to engage. Annoyance, as if asking for repetition is a burden. Old-fashioned or uncool, as if hearing aids are something to mock. And individuals with hearing loss may face the sting of stigmatizing comments, real cultural reactions like, "Never mind, forget it. Are you deaf? You need to listen better. Turn your hearing up. You're too young for hearing problems. You're slowing the conversation down. I already said it. Pay attention." These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. And individuals with hearing loss may face the emotional truth behind the adaptations. You are not a burden. You are not too slow, too distracted, or too much work. Your need for clarity is a human need, not a flaw. Asking someone to repeat themselves is communication, not inconvenience. Your hearing loss does not diminish your intelligence, your capability, or your worth. You deserve conversations where patience is respect, not reluctance. And individuals with hearing loss may face a deeper grounding in nature itself. Trees lean toward the sun when they need more light. They do not apologize for seeking clarity. Rivers listen by feeling the stones beneath them, and mountains hear the world through vibration, not sound. Nature adapts without shame, and your adaptations carry the same quiet wisdom. This is why naming hearing loss matters. This information becomes a medical education piece, a trauma-informed support statement, a poetic affirmation of dignity, a stigma-breaking manifesto. A place where people can listen and feel seen, feel understood, feel less alone. Trauma-informed grounding. You are not a burden. Requesting clarity or using amplification is a legitimate act of connection and self-advocacy. Nature-spoken grounding. Trees turn their branches toward available light without hesitation or apology. When the canopy above them grows dense, they reach sideways and upward for the sun that remains. Seeking what allows them to thrive is the quiet, continuous work of living things. Adaptation is not weakness, but the natural response to changing conditions. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment. Knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt. Nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now let's talk about sleep disorders, insomnia, obstructive sleep apnea, narcolepsy. The conditions that shape the night, the conditions people hide because the world misunderstands what the body is trying to do. Insomnia, obstructive sleep apnea, narcolepsy, each one is medically recognized, each one has documented causes, each one affects the nervous system, the airway, the brain's timing, the body's ability to restore itself. None of these conditions reflect laziness, lack of discipline, or personal failure. They are physiological realities that deserve understanding, not judgment. Individuals with sleep disorders may face a life shaped by exhaustion, vigilance, and the constant negotiation between what the body needs and what the world expects. They may face insomnia's long nights, lying awake while the world sleeps, thoughts racing, body tired but unable to descend, watching the clock instead of dreaming, feeling the weight of tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. They may face sleep apnea's interruptions, airway collapsing, breath stopping, the body jolting awake to protect itself, morning headaches, dry mouth, fatigue that feels heavier than the night itself. They may face narcolepsy's unpredictability, sudden sleep episodes, overwhelming daytime fatigue, muscle weakness triggered by emotion, the body switching states without warning, without permission, without regard for the schedule around it. Sleep disorders are not bad sleep. They are medical conditions that shape energy, mood, cognition, and daily life in profound ways. And individuals with sleep disorders may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings, a world that misreads their symptoms as laziness, as if fatigue is a choice. Lack of discipline, as if insomnia is solved by trying harder. Overreaction, as if apnea is just being tired. Immaturity, as if narcolepsy is not staying awake like an adult. Disinterest, as if fatigue means lack of care. Unreliability, as if symptoms define capability. And individuals with sleep disorders may face the sting of spoken stigmas, real cultural reactions like just go to bed earlier. You're always tired. You fell asleep again. You need more discipline. You're impossible in the mornings. Why can't you just sleep like everyone else? These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. Trauma-informed grounding. You are not lazy, and you are not unreliable. Your exhaustion is not a character flaw, and it is not a sign that you did something wrong. Insomnia is a nervous system that cannot settle even when you want it to. Sleep apnea is an airway fighting to protect you. Narcolepsy is a neurological rhythm that shifts without asking permission. You deserve rest without ridicule and treatment without shame. You deserve mornings that do not begin with apology. Your sleep disorder does not diminish your intelligence, your capability, or your worth. Your body is allowed to move at the pace it needs, without being measured against rhythms that were never built for you. Nature-spoken grounding. The night sky does not shine evenly, some stars flicker, some fade, some blaze without warning. Clouds drift across the moon in their own timing, and darkness shifts in ways no one can predict. The ocean does not rest in one rhythm, waves crash hard against the rocks, then soften into quiet ripples, and the tide rises and falls without asking permission from the shore. Even the earth sleeps in seasons. Long winters that slow everything down, short nights that rush the dawn, mornings that linger, evenings that arrive early. Nothing in nature rests the same way twice. Nothing in nature holds one tempo. Nothing in nature apologizes for its cycles. Your body belongs to that same world, a world where rest comes in patterns, where energy ebbs and returns, where timing shifts with weather, with season, with circumstance. There is no shame in having a rhythm that differs from the one people expect. There is no shame in needing more time to settle, more space to breathe, more gentleness to recover. You are part of a landscape that has never moved in straight lines. Your sleep, your fatigue, your waking, your returning, all of it is a natural pattern, a living rhythm, a truth that deserves respect. Nothing in nature is broken for resting differently. And neither are you. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment, knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt, nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now let's talk about premature ejaculation. The places where timing becomes misunderstood, on the quiet truth behind a condition that society jokes about but rarely understands. Premature ejaculation is a medically recognized condition, a pattern where ejaculation happens sooner than the person wants, often before or shortly after sexual activity begins. It can arise from physical factors, hormonal patterns, neurological sensitivity, stress, anxiety, or no clear cause at all. It is not a failure of masculinity, not a lack of control, not a moral flaw. It is a medical condition, a human condition, a real experience. Individuals with premature ejaculation may face a life shaped by timing, pressure, and the weight of misunderstanding in a world that treats the condition as comedy instead of reality. They may face anticipatory anxiety, worrying about timing before anything begins, carrying tension that interrupts connection, feeling pressure to perform instead of simply being present. They may face avoidance patterns, pulling back from intimacy, hesitating to initiate, fearing embarrassment, fearing misunderstanding, fearing judgment. They may face relationship misunderstandings, partners misreading the condition as disinterest, lack of attraction, or emotional distance when the truth is physiological, not personal. They may face emotional exhaustion, the cycle of worry, the cycle of self-critique, the cycle of trying to fix something that requires compassion, not shame. They may face medical navigation, seeking professional guidance, learning about physical and psychological factors, understanding that treatment exists and that the condition is common, not rare. Premature ejaculation is not finishing too fast. It is a medical condition that affects timing, confidence, and emotional well-being. And individuals with premature ejaculation may face the weight of stigmas and misunderstandings, a world that misreads their condition as lack of self-control, as if timing is a moral choice; immaturity, as if the condition reflects emotional youth instead of physiology; inexperience, as if skill determines timing; weakness, as if masculinity is measured by duration; selfishness, as if the person doesn't care about their partner's experience; comedy, as if the condition exists for punchlines. And individuals with premature ejaculation may face the sting of spoken stigmas, real cultural reactions like, "Already? You couldn't wait? That was fast. You need to get it together. You're done? Seriously? You should be able to control that. That's embarrassing." These comments are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. And individuals with premature ejaculation may face the emotional truth behind the condition. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not irresponsible. Your timing does not define your worth, your masculinity, your capability, or your capacity for connection. Your body is responding in a way that deserves understanding, not ridicule. You deserve conversations where compassion replaces shame, and truth replaces stereotype. And individuals with premature ejaculation may face a deeper grounding in nature itself. Lightning strikes quickly and still carries power. Seeds burst open in an instant and still create forests. Waves crash fast and still shape coastlines. Nature does not measure worth by duration, and neither should anyone else. Trauma-informed grounding. You deserve gentleness in the places where you've been misunderstood, where the body spoke too quickly and the world answered with shame, where the pulse was called a failure instead of a signal, instead of a story still unfolding. You deserve hands that don't hurry the wound, words that don't demand a different ending, space that lets the nervous system remember it is allowed to arrive in its own time, in its own weather. No more measuring the distance between what was wanted and what came. Just the quiet truth. You were never the problem. You were a body trying to protect itself in a language no one had learned to hear. So now, gentleness. Only gentleness in the places that still flinch from being known too fast. Nature-spoken grounding. The moon waxes and wanes, yet it is always whole. Listen. The river has two speeds. It races through the narrows, then slows in the wide bends, yet the water is never wrong for either pace. The wind through the pines comes in sudden gusts or long, soft breaths, both are still the same wind. A heart in the forest beats quick when the hawk circles, then settles when the danger passes. It does not apologize for the change. Rain falls hard for an hour, then barely whispers for days. The soil receives both and stays itself. Even the seasons refuse one tempo. Spring rushes green, summer holds long and heavy, autumn lets go in fits and starts, winter almost stops. Still the year is complete. So let your body keep its own rhythm. The quick rise, the early crest, the pause, the return. Nothing in nature is broken for moving at more than one speed. Everything that lives is already whole inside the tempo it carries. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment. Knowledge replaces isolation. Medically recognized, humanly felt. Nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now let's talk about epilepsy, a neurological condition where the brain's electrical rhythms shift, surge, or misfire, creating seizures that vary in shape, duration, and intensity. Epilepsy can appear at any age. It can arise from genetics, injury, infection, developmental patterns, or no identifiable cause at all. It is not a sign of instability, not a sign of danger, not a sign of unpredictability in the way people imagine. It is a medical condition with centuries of documentation and millions of people living through it with vigilance, adaptation, and strength. Individuals with epilepsy may face a life shaped by safety planning, routine management, and the constant negotiation between independence and protection. They may face daily navigation, tracking triggers, monitoring sleep, managing stress, avoiding flashing lights or overstimulation, adjusting routines to reduce seizure risk in ways most people never have to think about. They may face medication management, daily doses, side effects, blood tests, doctor visits, balancing seizure control with clarity, energy, and mood. They may face environmental awareness, choosing safe places to rest, avoiding heights, avoiding swimming alone, avoiding situations where a seizure could cause injury. They may face post-seizure recovery, confusion, fatigue, headaches, memory gaps, the body needing time to return to equilibrium. They may face social caution, explaining the condition, correcting misconceptions, hoping others respond with calm instead of fear. Epilepsy is not just seizures. It is a neurological condition that shapes energy, safety, and daily life in profound ways. Stigmas and misunderstandings. Epilepsy is often misread as dangerous, as if the person is unpredictable; unstable, as if seizures reflect emotional volatility; possessed or cursed, ancient myths that still echo; childish, as if needing support means immaturity; unreliable, as if seizures define capability; overdramatic, as if symptoms are exaggerated. Spoken stigmas people hear: "Are you going to freak out? I can't handle it if you have one. You shouldn't live alone. You're too much responsibility. You scared everyone. Why can't you control it? You're a liability." These reactions are not rooted in medical reality. They are rooted in misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. Trauma-informed grounding. You are not frightening, and you are not unstable. Your seizures do not make you a burden, and they do not make you too much for anyone to handle. Your brain is doing something that deserves respect, not fear. You have lived through moments where your body shifted without warning, where people panicked instead of helping, where misunderstanding felt louder than support. None of that is your fault. Your nervous system is protecting you in the only language it knows, a language that may be sudden, a language that may be intense, but a language that is still yours. You deserve people who stay calm, who stay present, who do not treat your condition as an emergency of identity. You deserve safety without restriction, support without condescension, and relationships where your epilepsy is met with steadiness, not alarm. Your condition does not diminish your intelligence, your capability, or your worth. You are allowed to exist without apologizing for the electricity you carry. Nature spoken grounding. Lightning does not ask permission before it flashes. It releases energy in a burst, then the sky settles again as if nothing was ever out of place. The tide rises suddenly, then falls back into calm, and the ocean remains whole through every shift. Volcanoes hold their power quietly for years, then release it in a single moment, and the earth does not call itself broken for the way its energy moves. Nature has rhythms that surge, pause, release, recover, and return, none of them shameful, none of them wrong. Your brain carries its own electricity, its own timing, its own storms, its own calm. You are part of a world that has never moved in straight lines. Nothing in nature is broken for having a powerful rhythm. And neither are you. These are medically recognized conditions. They do not diminish a person's worth. They arise from physiology, not character or will. There is no legitimate shame attached to them. Understanding replaces judgment, knowledge replaces isolation. Compassion and accurate information remain the appropriate response. Medically recognized, humanly felt, nature does not apologize, neither should you.
Now, let's talk about obsessive-compulsive disorder, and certain anxiety disorders that generate intrusive thoughts that feel louder than reason, more vivid than intention, more persistent than logic. The mind's patterns, the ones that loop, the ones that repeat, the ones that arrive uninvited and refuse to leave quietly. These thoughts are not desires, not impulses, not reflections of character. They are neurological misfires, fear-based alarms, mental signals that activate without permission and without accuracy. Compulsive behaviors often follow: checking, repeating, organizing, avoiding, rituals meant to quiet the noise, meant to create safety, meant to keep the world from tipping into imagined danger. These behaviors are not weakness, not immaturity, not overreacting. They are attempts to soothe a system that is firing too loudly and too often. Individuals with OCD and anxiety disorders may live with a mind that generates fear without evidence, urgency without cause, and responsibility without limit. They may spend hours trying to prevent outcomes that were never going to happen. They may carry guilt for thoughts they never chose, and shame for rituals they cannot stop. This is not a failure of willpower. This is not a lack of discipline. This is a medical condition that shapes cognition, behavior, and daily life in profound ways. Daily reality. They may face intrusive thoughts that arrive suddenly, violent, taboo, catastrophic, or simply relentless. Thoughts that contradict their values yet cling to the mind with unreasonable force. Number 1. They may face compulsions that feel necessary for survival: checking locks, washing hands. For OCD, this means washing hands repeatedly even when they are already clean, washing until the skin burns, washing after touching harmless objects, washing because of imagined contamination, which is different from normal hygiene like washing after the restroom, before cooking, after touching dirty packages, or after handling raw food. Number 2. They may repeat phrases, such as saying the same sentence over and over to neutralize a thought, repeating a prayer compulsively even when not connected to faith practice, or repeating a word until it feels right. Number 3. They may count steps. For example, needing to take exactly 8 steps to enter a room, counting tiles to prevent imagined harm, or restarting the count if it doesn't feel perfect. Number 4. They may seek reassurance. For example, they may ask, "Are you sure I didn't offend them?" Dozens of times, asking, "Did I lock the door?" Repeatedly, asking, "Do you think I'm a bad person?" even when nothing happened. Number 5. They may avoid triggers, for example, avoiding doorknobs because of imagined contamination, avoiding knives because of intrusive violent thoughts, avoiding certain people or places because of irrational fear, which is different from trauma-based avoidance in complex PTSD, where triggers are tied to real past harm. Number 6, they perform rituals. For example, like tapping objects a certain number of times, arranging items symmetrically to prevent imagined danger, or repeating a sequence of actions until it feels safe, which is different from cultural rituals, religious practices, spiritual ceremonies, or weekend traditions that have meaning and intention to quiet the internal alarm. They may face mental exhaustion, hours spent neutralizing fear, hours spent undoing imagined harm, hours spent trying to silence a thought that refuses to fade. They may face social misunderstandings, people calling them dramatic, controlling, obsessive, irrational, when the truth is neurological, not personal. OCD and anxiety disorders are not personality quirks. They are medical conditions that deserve understanding, not judgment. Stigmas and misunderstandings. People often misread these conditions as overreacting, as if fear is a choice; controlling, as if compulsions are about power; drama, as if intrusive thoughts are exaggeration; immaturity, as if rituals reflect childishness; attention-seeking, as if behaviors are performative; moral failure, as if intrusive thoughts reflect desire. Spoken stigmas people hear: just stop thinking about it. You're being ridiculous. You worry too much. You're making this a big deal. Why can't you just let it go? You're obsessing again. You're exhausting. These reactions are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in impatience and misinterpretation, and they cause real emotional harm. Trauma-informed grounding. You are worthy of care, connection, and dignity in every chapter of your body's story. The intrusive thoughts you experience are not reflections of your desires, your morality, or your intentions. They are symptoms, neurological alarms firing without accuracy, without context, without permission. They do not expose anything shameful. They do not reveal who you are. You have lived through moments where your mind generated fear that felt larger than reason, where rituals became the only way to quiet the noise, where guilt arrived for thoughts you never chose. You have carried responsibility that was never yours, and you have fought battles no one could see. You have navigated confusion about what is normal hygiene and what is compulsive fear, confusion about what is cultural ritual and what is anxiety-driven ritual, confusion about what is trauma-based avoidance and what is OCD-based avoidance. None of that makes you weak. None of that makes you dramatic. None of that makes you too much. Your mind is trying to protect you in the only way it knows, by repeating, by checking, by looping, by seeking reassurance, by avoiding imagined danger, by performing actions until they feel safe. These behaviors are not failures of discipline. They are survival responses. They are attempts to create safety in a system that feels unsafe. You deserve people who understand that your thoughts are symptoms, not secrets; that your rituals are coping, not control; that your anxiety is a physiological response, not a moral flaw. You deserve people who understand the difference between normal cleanliness and compulsive contamination fear, the difference between cultural or spiritual rituals and anxiety-driven rituals, the difference between trauma-based avoidance and OCD-based avoidance. You deserve relationships where your mind is met with steadiness, patience, and respect. Your condition does not diminish your intelligence, your capability, or your worth. You are allowed to exist without apologizing for the way your mind protects you. You are not broken. You are navigating a mind that feels deeply, and you deserve to be held with the same gentleness you offer the world. Nature-spoken grounding. The earth holds every root, every leaf, every storm, and it holds you, too. Nature moves in patterns, cycles, repetitions, and returns. Rivers circle the same bend again and again, carving their path through persistence, through revisiting, through repetition. No one calls the river obsessive. No one calls the river irrational. It is simply shaping the world in the way it must. Earthquakes begin with pressure deep beneath the surface, silent, unseen, building slowly over time. Then the ground shifts in a single moment, releasing what it could no longer hold. The earth does not judge itself for the suddenness of its movement. It does not apologize for the intensity of its release. It settles, it breathes, it continues. Winds return to the same valley, circling through familiar routes. Storms revisit the same coastline, arriving with force, then leaving behind calm. Lightning flashes without warning, then the sky softens as if nothing was ever out of place. Nature holds suddenness without shame. Nature holds repetition without ridicule. Nature holds intensity without fear. Your mind belongs to that same world. A world where cycles are natural, where returning is part of survival, where pressure builds and releases, where patterns form and reshape themselves over time. Your intrusive thoughts are not chaos. They are weather. Your compulsions are not weakness. They are wind carving a path through uncertainty. Your reassurance seeking is not immaturity. It is the river returning to the bend. Your avoidance is not irrationality. It is the earthquake releasing pressure. Your rituals are not strangeness. They are the storm completing its cycle. Nothing in nature is broken for moving in patterns, for releasing pressure, for returning to the same place until the landscape understands it. And neither are you.
Now, let's talk about menopause, a biological transition that half the world will experience, yet one of the most stigmatized, misunderstood, and emotionally damaging passages in a woman's life. Menopause is not a failure of youth, not a collapse of femininity, not the end of desirability, not the end of relevance. It is a hormonal shift, a neurological shift, a vascular shift, a metabolic shift, a full-body recalibration that deserves reverence, not ridicule. It can bring hot flashes, night sweats, sleep disruption, mood changes, memory fog, joint pain, changes in libido, changes in energy, changes in identity. It can bring grief, not because womanhood is ending, but because society taught women that their worth was tied to fertility, to youth, to smooth skin, to predictable cycles, to the ability to bear children even when they no longer want to. Menopause is not the loss of womanhood. It is the evolution of it. The social reality. Spoken word. Individuals going through menopause may face partners who misunderstand the changes, friends who minimize the symptoms, doctors who dismiss the pain, and a culture that treats aging as something to hide instead of something to honor. Some marriages fracture because a partner cannot tolerate the shifts in mood, the shifts in desire, the shifts in energy. Some women are abandoned for younger partners who can still bear children, as if fertility were the only measure of devotion or value. This is not just physically difficult. It is psychologically devastating. It is emotionally destabilizing. It is spiritually disorienting. Menopause is not simply a medical transition. It is a cultural battleground where women are told they are becoming less, at the exact moment they are becoming more themselves. Daily reality. Spoken word. They may face nights where sleep breaks into fragments, where heat rises through the body like a sudden storm, where the heart races without warning, where exhaustion settles into the bones. They may face days where concentration slips, where memory blurs, where irritability flares from hormonal shifts not from lack of love, where the body feels unfamiliar in ways that are hard to explain to anyone who has not lived it. They may face changes in intimacy, not rejection, not disinterest, but physical transitions that require patience, communication, and understanding. They may face grief for the body they once knew, for the identity they once carried, for the version of themselves that society praised more than the one they are becoming. Menopause is not weakness. It is transformation. Stigmas and misunderstandings. People often misread menopause as emotional instability, as if hormones erase intelligence. Loss of desirability, as if youth is the only beauty. Irrationality, as if symptoms are exaggeration. Aging out of relevance, as if contribution ends with fertility. Being too much, as if symptoms are inconvenience. being, past their prime, as if womanhood has an expiration date. Spoken stigmas. People hear, you're not the same anymore. You're overreacting. You're just hormonal. You're not fun like you used to be. You're getting old. You're not desirable. I need someone younger. These words do not come from truth. They come from cultural conditioning that has never learned how to honor women's transitions. Trauma-informed grounding. You are worthy of care, connection, and dignity in every chapter of your body's story. Menopause does not diminish your value, your desirability, your identity, or your place in the world. The changes you experience, physical, emotional, cognitive, are not signs of weakness or instability. They are physiological transitions, hormonal recalibrations, neurological shifts, vascular adjustments, and metabolic changes that deserve respect, not ridicule. You have lived through moments where your body changed without warning, where heat rose through your skin like a sudden wave, where sleep fractured into pieces, where mood shifted from hormonal fluctuation rather than lack of love. You have navigated confusion about what is a normal bodily change and what is a symptom, confusion about what is emotional processing and what is hormonal turbulence, confusion about what is grief from cultural stigma and what is grief from physical transition. None of that makes you fragile. None of that makes you too emotional. None of that makes you less. You have carried the weight of a society that ties a woman's worth to youth, fertility, smooth skin, predictable cycles, and the ability to bear children, even when she no longer wants to. You have carried the pain of partners who misunderstand the changes, of people who minimize the symptoms, of doctors who dismiss the discomfort, of cultural narratives that treat aging as decline instead of evolution. You have carried the heartbreak of relationships strained or broken because someone could not honor your transition. None of that is your fault. You deserve people who understand that menopause is not the end of desirability, but the beginning of a new form of power. You deserve relationships where your body's changes are met with steadiness, patience, and respect. You deserve support that does not minimize your symptoms or dismiss your experience. You deserve conversations where menopause is spoken of with dignity, not embarrassment. Your menopause does not diminish your intelligence, your capability, your beauty, or your worth. You are allowed to exist without apologizing for the way your body evolves. You are not fading. You are unfolding. You are not losing yourself. You are becoming yourself in a new form, one shaped by wisdom, resilience, and depth that youth could never hold. Nature-spoken grounding. The earth holds every root, every leaf, every storm, and it holds you, too. Nature transforms without shame, without apology, without fear of being misunderstood. The forest does not mourn when the leaves change color. It does not grieve when green gives way to gold, when branches shed what they once held. The transformation is not loss, it is maturity. The moon does not apologize for shifting phases. It is full, then crescent, then new, then full again, each stage complete, each stage whole, each stage necessary. No one calls the moon less beautiful when it changes shape. No one calls it less powerful when it dims. Its rhythm is honored, not judged. The ocean does not remain in the same tide forever. It rises, it falls, it pulls back, it returns, and no one calls it inconsistent for the way it moves. No one calls it unstable for the way it shifts. Its cycles are part of its strength. Its changes are part of its identity. Even the mountains carry seasons on their skin, snow in winter, wildflowers in spring, heat in summer, wind in autumn. They are not diminished by the passage of time. They are defined by it. They are shaped by it. They are strengthened by it. Your body belongs to that same world, a world where change is not decline, where transition is not failure, where evolution is not loss. Menopause is your season shift, your tide change, your moon phase, your forest turning gold. It is the earth expressing itself through you. Nothing in nature is broken for transforming. And neither are you.
And finally, we are going to talk plainly about what most people avoid: infertility, impotence, erectile dysfunction, stillbirth, and womb loss. Not as gossip, not as judgment, as medical realities that carry deep emotional and psychological weight. Female infertility, medical, practical context. Female infertility refers to difficulty conceiving or carrying a pregnancy to term. Common causes include ovulation issues, PCOS, thyroid disorders, hormonal imbalance. Structural issues: blocked tubes, fibroids, uterine malformations. Egg quality and age. Decreased ovarian reserve, age-related changes. Chronic conditions: endometriosis, autoimmune disorders, metabolic disorders. Infertility is a medical condition, not a moral failure. Psychological, social impact. Women often face grief for the child imagined but never born. Shame from cultural expectations tying womanhood to fertility. Fear of abandonment if a partner leaves or cheats. Identity conflict feeling less like a woman. When a partner conceives with someone else, the pain is not only betrayal, it is a collision between her deepest wound and his fulfilled desire. Stigmas women hear. Here are the spoken stigmas that must be exposed. Maybe you waited too long. Maybe you're not meant to be a mother. Your body just isn't doing what it's supposed to. He needs a real woman who can give him a child. You should be happy for other people. At least you can adopt. It's not that big of a deal. These statements are not rooted in medical understanding. They are rooted in cruelty, ignorance, and cultural conditioning. Male infertility, medical, practical context. Male infertility refers to difficulty contributing to conception due to sperm-related or structural issues. Common causes include low sperm count or motility, abnormal sperm shape, hormonal imbalance, varicocele or structural issues, genetic or medical conditions. Male infertility is medical, not a measure of masculinity. Psychological, social impact. Men often face shame tied to virility and cultural expectations. Guilt believing they are the reason their partner cannot conceive. Fear of replacement or abandonment. Silence because vulnerability is discouraged. Their grief is real, even if rarely spoken. Stigmas men hear. These are the spoken stigmas men face. Real men can get a woman pregnant. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. She needs someone who can give her a baby. You're not a man if you can't perform. Just relax, it's all in your head. You're failing her. These statements are emotionally violent. They destroy self-worth and silence men who need support. Erectile dysfunction and impotence. Medical, practical context. Erectile dysfunction, ED, and impotence involve difficulty achieving or maintaining an erection or performing sexually. Causes include cardiovascular issues, neurological conditions, hormonal imbalance, medications or substances, psychological factors. ED is not simply mental, nor purely physical. It is often both. Psychological, social impact. Men with ED may experience humiliation when their body does not respond, fear of intimacy to avoid embarrassment, self-blame believing they are failing their partner, distorted self-image equating sexual function with worth. Partners may misinterpret ED as rejection, which deepens the emotional wound. Stigmas men hear. These stigmas must be exposed. You must not find me attractive. You're not a real man. You're broken. You're doing this on purpose. You're just lazy. You're old now. Get used to it. These statements are rooted in misunderstanding and cruelty, not medicine. Stillbirth and womb loss. Medical, practical context. Stillbirth refers to the loss of a baby in the womb after a certain point in pregnancy. Womb loss includes recurrent pregnancy loss or surgical removal of the uterus. Causes include placental issues, umbilical cord complications, infections or medical conditions, structural or genetic factors. Often, there is no clear explanation, which intensifies the grief. Psychological, social impact. Stillbirth and womb loss carry invisible mourning, self-blame, identity disruption, Isolation. The body remembers. The calendar remembers. The heart remembers. Stigmas. Women hear. These stigmas must be named. At least you can try again. It wasn't meant to be. Something must have been wrong with the baby. You should move on. You're being dramatic. Other women have it worse. These statements erase grief instead of honoring it. In closing, we are now going to do trauma-informed and nature grounding. Number 1. Female experience. Infertility, barrenness, stillbirth, and reproductive loss. Trauma-informed grounding. You are worthy of care, connection, and dignity in every chapter of your body's story. Infertility does not make you less of a woman. Barrenness does not erase your identity. A stillbirth does not define your worth. The inability to carry a pregnancy does not diminish your humanity. You have lived through moments where your body did not do what you hoped it would do. Moments where dreams collapsed in a single phone call, a single test result, a single silence in a delivery room. You have carried grief that is invisible to others, grief that sits in the bones, grief that reshapes the future, grief that is both physical and spiritual. You have endured partners who misunderstood the pain, families who asked insensitive questions, friends who conceived easily while you carried a private ache. You have endured cultural narratives that tie womanhood to fertility, as if the ability to bear children is the only measure of femininity. You have endured betrayal, a partner leaving, cheating, or conceiving with someone else, and the psychological devastation of watching him sow his seed into another woman while you are left with emptiness, confusion, and a wound that feels like it has no language. You have endured the humiliation of hearing, "I made a mistake," knowing that he may want ties with the child he created elsewhere, knowing that this child represents something he always wanted but did not receive with you. You have endured the fear of being replaced. You have endured the shame that does not belong to you. You have endured the silence of a world that does not know how to comfort you. Your body is not a failure. Your story is not a tragedy. Your worth is not tied to reproduction. You deserve tenderness, understanding, and reverence for the pain you have carried. Pain that is real, pain that is valid, pain that deserves to be spoken aloud. Nature spoken grounding. The earth holds every root, every leaf, every storm, and it holds you, too. Not every tree bears fruit every season. Some trees bear fruit once in a lifetime. Some never bear fruit at all. Yet they still stand tall, still give shade, still anchor the soil, still hold ecosystems together. The desert blooms only when the rain arrives. Some years it blooms, some years it does not. But the desert is still magnificent, still powerful, still alive. Volcanoes create new land only after long periods of silence. Some eruptions bring creation, some bring destruction, some never come at all. Yet the mountain remains sacred. The ocean carries life in its depths even when the surface appears empty. The moon cycles through phases where it seems to disappear, yet it is always whole. Your body belongs to that same world. A world where creation is not the only measure of worth, where fruitfulness is not the only form of beauty, where cycles vary, where life expresses itself in countless ways. Nothing in nature is broken for not producing, and neither are you. Number 2. Male experience. Impotence, erectile dysfunction, and infertility. Trauma-informed grounding. You are worthy of care, connection, and dignity in every chapter of your body's story. Impotence does not make you less of a man. Erectile dysfunction does not erase your masculinity. Infertility does not diminish your identity. Men carry a silent grief, a grief rarely spoken, rarely acknowledged, rarely understood. They carry shame tied to performance, shame tied to fertility, shame tied to cultural expectations that define manhood by virility, strength, and sexual capability. They carry fear of disappointing their partner, fear of being replaced, fear of being judged, fear of being seen as weak. They carry humiliation when their body does not respond, when desire is present but function is not, when intimacy becomes a battlefield instead of a sanctuary. They carry the pain of infertility, the ache of wanting to conceive but being unable to, The guilt of feeling responsible for a partner's heartbreak. The fear of being the reason a dream cannot be fulfilled. They carry the weight of silence, because society tells men not to cry, not to speak, not to admit vulnerability. They carry the burden of pretending everything is fine. They carry the pressure of performing masculinity instead of living humanity. Your body is not a failure. Your masculinity is not measured by fertility or sexual function. You deserve compassion, understanding, and dignity for the pain you have carried. Pain that is real, pain that is valid, pain that deserves to be spoken aloud. Nature spoken grounding. The earth holds every root, every leaf, every storm, and it holds you, too. Not every river flows with the same force. Some rivers run shallow, some run deep, some dry up for a season and return stronger. Not every storm releases lightning. Not every volcano erupts. Not every seed germinates. Not every branch bears fruit. The lion is still a lion even when he is old and cannot mate. The stallion is still a stallion even when he cannot sire offspring. The oak is still an oak even when it produces no acorns. Nature does not shame its creatures for what they cannot do. Nature honors them for what they are. Your body belongs to that same world. A world where strength is not defined by output, where worth is not defined by reproduction, where identity is not defined by performance. Nothing in nature is broken for changing, aging, or shifting. And neither are you. Number 3. Womb loss, stillbirth, and the body that cannot carry. Trauma-informed grounding. You are worthy of care, connection, and dignity in every chapter of your body's story. A womb that cannot carry is not a failed womb. A pregnancy that ends too soon is not a reflection of your worth. A stillbirth is not your fault. You have carried dreams that ended in silence. You have carried hope that dissolved into grief. You have carried love that had no place to land. You have endured medical procedures, emotional devastation, physical pain, and spiritual confusion. You have endured questions that cut deep, comments that wound, and silence that isolates. You have endured the ache of an empty nursery, the ache of a due date that arrives without celebration, the ache of a future that changed without your consent. Your body is not broken. Your story is not over. Your grief is not weakness. Your pain is not invisible. You deserve tenderness, reverence, and compassion for the loss you have carried, a loss that reshapes the soul. Nature spoken grounding. The earth holds every root, every leaf, every storm, and it holds you, too. Some seeds never sprout. Some flowers bloom only once. Some fruits fall before they ripen. Some nests remain empty. Yet nature does not shame these moments. Nature does not call them failures. Nature does not erase their beauty. A tree that loses its blossoms still stands. A bird whose eggs do not hatch still sings. A field that lies barren one season blooms the next. A star that collapses becomes the dust that forms new galaxies. Your body belongs to that same world. A world where loss is part of creation, where emptiness is part of the cycle, where grief is part of the landscape. Nothing in nature is broken for carrying sorrow, and neither are you.